Hey everyone, so it's been a while since I filmed last, and honestly that just has to do with the fact that school's really busy. But even though I haven't been reading as much as I have this past summer, I have been buying books. That has not stopped. So it's time for me to share some of the books that I've purchased recently and also some that I have received as gifts, which just makes me so happy. So these are all the books that I have recently got in the last few weeks. I do have more books coming in, but they've just piled up on my desk and I just want to put them away, so I'm going to film the haul now, and any other books that are going to arrive in the next few weeks I will save for my next haul, which I will never stop filming book hauls on this channel because I don't think I'll ever stop buying as many books as I do. But I'm going to first go over two of the books that I got on Kindle, and the first one is In Darklingwood by Emma Carroll. This is a middle grade historical fantasy, but I think it's pretty light on the fantasy. I mentioned this book in my autumn reading list, and I hope I can get to it this fall. I can't guarantee that I will read it, but it does sound really sweet. It's supposed to have fairies, and it's about a girl named Alice who has to move to her grandmother's house, and there's this forest called the Darklingwood, and very odd things start happening. They're supposed to be fae, and I just think this book sounds really fun, so really looking forward to reading it if I can this fall. And next I got Christmas at the Borrow a Bookshop, and there are two major buzzwords for me in this title: Christmas and bookshop. So I had to snatch this up. I actually pre-ordered it last month and then it just came out in September. And this one says, with just 2 weeks until Christmas, everything in Clove lore should be perfect. But the latest holiday maker to the Borrow a Bookshop is feeling far from festive. Icelandic ex-bookseller Magnus Sturluson might be surrounded by love stories in the bookshop, but he's nursing a sadness that not even fiction can fix. When Alexandra Robinson finds herself stranded in Clove lore, she finds a safe place to hide from heartbreak. After all that's waiting for her at home is a cheater boyfriend and the memories of her parents. As Alex finds herself embraced by the quirky village community, she finds her tough exterior thawing. And as she grows closer to Magnus, she finds an equally soft heart under his gruff shell. It seems that Clove lore is working its magic once again until a great flood on Christmas Eve brings devastation in its wake, and it's up to Magnus and Alex to batten down the hatches and help bring the village back together again, while also introducing the locals to Icelandic tradition of this word, Yule Book Flood, where families and friends gather on Christmas Eve to exchange books and read together. But can Magnus and Alex truly rescue the ruins of the village and salvage their Christmas spirit, or is there another complication lurking even closer than they thought? So yeah, it sounds pretty cute, and I hope I can read this sometime in December. All right, so now I'll go over the books that I received as gifts, and the first one is The Enchanted Sonata by Heather Dixon Walwork. This one I got from my lovely friend Lindsay, and I'm just so happy about this book, and I can't wait to read it. I'm hoping to read it in December, and I think it's just gonna be an amazing Christmas read. It's supposed to be a retelling of the Nutcracker, I'm pretty sure, with a lot of music and magic, and it says there's a dash of the Pied Piper, and I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to read this. This next book is one that I got from a subscriber, and I had filmed a video of me opening it and reading the note, and then I lost the footage of that video, and I'm so sad, but I'm just so grateful and so thankful for this book, and that is Russian Tales: Traditional Stories of Quests and Enchantments. And this is just a collection of Russian fairy tales, and this was a wonderful gift from a subscriber, Nicole, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Nicole. In the note she wrote, "Congrats on 600 subscribers. Here's to many more. This book looked so beautiful and there were only a few left in stock. I hope you enjoy it. God bless, from Nicole over at Lilac Cottage." And I'm so happy. This book is so beautiful, and like even the end papers are just stunning. I love Russian folklore, and I love like Russian fairy tale retellings, and I'm really excited that I'll be able to read some original Russian stories in here. And again, thank you so much, Nicole. You made my day with this book, and I'm so excited to read it. These next books are all from family members, and they know how much I adore reading, and that like gift giving is my love language, and I just appreciate that so much. And so the first book that I got is The Little Women Cookbook: Tempting Recipes from the March Sisters and Their Friends and Family. Just look at this. Oh my gosh. It has some delicious looking recipes. It also has quotes from the book. This just makes me so happy. I can't wait to cook recipes from here and This edition is also just gorgeous. I'm just so happy to have this. My family also knows how much I love fairy tales and retellings, but I also really love original fairy tales, and I love picture books, especially if they are picture books that I've read as a child and I just feel super nostalgic about. And these I have not read as a child. These are actually a newer edition, but because I love fairy tales, I was gifted Hans Christian Andersen 6 classic fairy tales, and just look at this box set. Oh my gosh. So it comes with 6 books in here, and I'll just show each of them. First is The Nightingale, and what I love about these books is they each have a different illustration style. So for example, this one has much more of a pencil crayon type of illustration style. It very much looks like someone colored with pencil crayons. And I love this story. I have read it and it's so cute. And then we have Thumbelina, and this is another one that I read as a child. Obviously a different retelling of it, but I do love the original as well. These are retold for young children so that they're able to understand, and these are definitely books I'm gonna read to my future kids, and this one has such a cute illustration style. So there's Thumbelina. Then we have The Emperor's New Clothes. The illustrations are so fun in this one. One of my favorite Hans Christian Andersen stories, we have The Princess and the Pea. Oh my gosh, I just love this so much. A story that I was obsessed with as a kid, we have The Ugly Duckling. And then finally we have The Little Mermaid, and this is another favorite. So really happy to have this box set. Some of my family members also know that I like Julie Klassen, but this book is actually the 3rd book in a trilogy, which is completely fine. I ended up going and ordering the first 2 books, but I received The Bride of Ivy Green, and I'm not going to read the back because this is book 3 in the trilogy, but I have been eyeing Tales from Ivy Hill, this series, and I have the Christmas novella that's part of the series. And I've wanted to read it, but I also want to save it till I have read the original trilogy. So this is the 3rd book, and I do have books 1 and 2 coming in hopefully soon. Then we have All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot, and this I heard only amazing things about. I am so excited to get to this, hopefully in the spring or summer. I feel like that's a good time to read it. I'm pretty sure this series is like a memoir type of series. So this says, fresh out of Glasgow Veterinary College, to the young James Herriot, 1930s Yorkshire seems to offer an idyllic pocket of rural life in a rapidly changing world. But from his erratic new colleagues, brothers Siegfried and Tristan Farnan, to incomprehensible farmers, herds of semi-feral cattle, a pig called Nugent, and an overweight Pekin geese, I've never seen that word before, called Tricky Woo, James finds he is on a learning curve on as steep as the hills around him. And when he meets Helen, the beautiful daughter of a local farmer, all the training and experience in the world can't help him. That sounds really cute. I love this edition. It just makes me love the countryside even more than I already do. So can't wait to read this. And then we have The Caretakers by Eliza Maxwell. This I also shared in my autumn reading list, and I do want to get to it sometime this fall. So this is about a woman named Tessa. She's a filmmaker, and she actually helps free a man from prison who was charged for murder. She believes he's innocent, but then a murder occurs, and she believes she basically helped a murderer escape. Her family turns on her. Her mom has passed away. She basically has no one, and she's ridden with guilt. So she ends up moving to this house that she was left by her mother. It was part of her inheritance. It's this mansion that is really run down, but there are 2 women currently living in it, kind of like housekeepers. Tessa moves into this house and starts to notice and experience some very odd and sinister things. So sounds great for this season, sounds spooky and like a great mystery, so I'm really excited to get to it. Another book that was also on my autumn reading list, and I really want to get to it sometime in October, and that is The Asylum by Karen Coles. This cover is just beautiful. This entire book is gorgeous. I love the butterflies. I feel like the cover is almost too pretty for the content of the book. But this one says, 1906, being a woman is dangerous. Being different is deadly. Maud Lavelle has been at Angelton Lunatic Asylum for 5 years. She's not sure how she came to be there and knows nothing beyond its 4 walls. Hysterical, distressed, and untrustworthy, she is badly unstable and prone to violence, or so she's been told. When a new doctor arrives, keen to experiment with the revolutionary practice of medical hypnosis, Maud's unknown history makes her the perfect case study. But as Dr. Dimmond delves deeper into the past, it becomes clear that confinement and high doses are there to keep her silent. When Maud finally remembers what's been done to her and by whom, her mind turns to her past and revenge. That sounds really good, and I'm really hoping that I love this. I've heard good things, so fingers crossed. These next 8 books are all classics, and I'm excited about each and every one of them, especially this first one. And that is Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. And this is a book that I have wanted to read for so long. It just sounds precious, and everyone that I've seen, like that I know of, read this book, they've all given it 5 stars. So my expectations are really high for this. So it says, every December, an envelope bearing a stamp from the North Pole would arrive for J.R.R. Tolkien's children. Inside would be a letter in strange, spidery handwriting and a beautiful color drawing. They were from Father Christmas, telling wonderful tales of life at the North Pole. How all the reindeer got loose and scattered presents all over the place. How the accident-prone polar bear climbed to the North Pole and fell through the roof of Father Christmas' house into the dining room. How he broke the moon into 4 pieces and made the man in it fall into the back garden. How there were wars with the troublesome horde of goblins who lived in the caves beneath the house. Is that not the most precious thing? Like him sending Santa's letters to his own children. Obviously it's, you know, Tolkien writing them. Oh my goodness, like look at this drawing. I'm just blown away. I think this is going to be an incredible read, and I'm dying to read it, but I will save this for December. I also got Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. I had mentioned, I think in my last book haul, that I was waiting for Wives and Daughters and that it got lost in the mail, so I ended up just canceling that order, and I'll try to order Wives and Daughters at another time, which is fine because I actually do want to read Ruth and then Cranford before reading Wives and Daughters, and so I got Ruth first, and sometimes the back of classics will actually spoil a lot of what happens in the story, so I'm not going to read the back, but I do know that it has to do with a woman named Ruth who basically is like seduced, and then her life kind of, you know, falls apart, and so that's all I know, that's all I want to know, and I have high expectations because Elizabeth Gaskell, she knows how to tell a story, so really looking forward to it. Next, I got The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. I have read this, but I only have the story in particular in that big bind up that I have on my shelves, and it does get a little difficult to read from that big collection, so I did want to have all of the Sherlock Holmes stories in smaller, you know, book form, and I finally have all of them. So this is the last one that I needed, and love this story, and maybe I will reread it this fall, if not for sure next fall, because this is just one of the best. I also got The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Other Stories by Washington Irving. I have never read Sleepy Hollow. I don't know too much about the story, but I heard it's creepy, so we'll see what I think. I honestly am not too interested in the other stories in this book, but I do want to read Sleepy Hollow and see what I think about it. This next book makes me so happy. I did not own a copy of it, and I just recently read it, and I really needed a copy. So I got Dracula by Bram Stoker. This book is amazing, just incredible, and definitely a favorite classic. So love this so much. So happy I finally have a copy. A book that I really want to read either in October or November, we have The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I'm really looking forward to this. It says, rumors of psychic disturbances surround Hill House. Are they caused by a ghostly presence, or are there reasons for the building's terrifying and mysterious reputation altogether more mundane? When Eleanor Vance is invited to join a group of ghost hunters to assess the strange happenings at the house, she jumps at the chance. But what begins as a simple experiment soon turns into the stuff of nightmares. I've heard great things about Shirley Jackson, I've heard good things about this book, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Next, we have a nonfiction, and I don't typically read a lot of nonfiction, but I have heard really good things about this one, and that is 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup. I am less intimidated by it because it is a memoir, so I'm hoping it is a good one. This one says, in 1841, Solomon Northup was kidnapped in Washington, D.C. and sold into slavery. Separated from his family, he was forced to endure countless injustices and brutalities until he managed to escape in 1853. 12 Years a Slave is his harrowing memoir about the realities of slavery in the years before the American Civil War. Vividly portrayed and deeply poignant, the memoir became a bestseller soon after its first publication more than 150 years ago. It's at once a scathing indictment of the institution of slavery and a testament to the endurance and courage of one man. I haven't seen the movie, but I have heard good things. If any of you have seen the movie, let me know what your thoughts were. But I do hope I can get to this, maybe even in November for Nonfiction November. I have heard it is a very tragic and difficult to read story, and again, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know too much about Solomon's story, but I am really curious. And the last book that I have is Tess of the d'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I have read Far from the Madding Crowd by him and had very mixed feelings. I think I gave it 3 stars when I read it. but I heard this one is really, really tragic and depressing. So I guess when I'm in the mood for a story like that, I have a good book to pick up. I just read the back. Really, really bad idea. I was just spoiled for something big. Great times. I don't understand why so many classics spoil the story on the back. I don't get it. Either way, I am looking forward to it. After reading the back, I'll say that it's about a woman named Tess who has to deal with a few different men who basically ruin her life, and it gets really, really depressing and sad really, really fast. And I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil any of you who have not read this book the way that I was just spoiled, so. Anyways, I am really excited to read it. I'm just bummed out that now I know something big that happens, which I kind of wish I didn't. So but yeah, I have read Far from the Madding Crowd, and I'm hoping that this will be my next Thomas Hardy book, and I guess we'll see what I think because I do have mixed feelings about his writing, so we shall see with this one. So that's it for this book haul. I do have more books coming in, but I was impatient to just film and put these books on my shelves because they've been piling up on my desk and they need to go. They need to be put away and organized. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!